Well, everybody, it has actually happened. We have finally reached 100%. Yeah, 100% of video games. Now, this is not all video games, but these are specifically online video games in Japan. They now have some form of generative AI being used in video game development. You know, this was probably just a matter of time. But yeah, this might sound crazy, but this really is the case when we look at a report that just recently came out. We can get right to it. It says, according to a poll, generative AI is being used by a whopping 100% of Japanese online game developers as copyright infringement concerns climb. So I got this from Eurogamer, and I've got it in the description. Basically, this isn't saying that 100% of all Japanese game developers are replacing humans with AI or making, fully AI generated games. It's kind of the first thing that I thought of when I saw this, but it is saying that some form of generative AI is being used. So it says a new report on the Japanese online game industry has shown that 100% of polled developers are currently using generative AI, and this report was in the 2026 edition of Japan's Online Game Association, specifically their online game market research report, and it digs down into the topic of generative AI use. And Eurogamer got it from a published preview of the report by Famitsu, and it says some insight can be gleaned into the adoption of the AI technology. And basically the preview is talking about the different kinds of generative AI that are used and specifically for what tasks. So it says the most staggering of generative AI finds from the report is that 100% of polled Japanese developers are utilizing generative AI. So it says Google's Gemini is the most popular one among generative AI software, with 94% confirming its use. Then it says 84% are using Claude and 76% are using Microsoft Copilot. And then it says the same survey found that the tasks most frequently being tackled with generative AI assistance was user preference analysis and user behavior prediction. On the flip side of the coin, the report also surveyed game players and found the most prevalent concern was surrounding copyright infringement. Another popular concern among users was games becoming similar to each other due to generative AI use. Yeah, that's definitely a concern. You don't want the slop. You don't want just, low effort garbage, of course. But yes, the most common tasks here, that's pretty interesting. It sounds like this is mostly surrounding, predicting player behaviors and preferences. Not so much AI just making the entire game from the ground up, but, who knows, that might be coming. But then it is also interesting to hear the three most popular forms of AI or sources of AI are Google Gemini is number 1, Claude's number 2, and Microsoft Copilot is number 3. Obviously, AI as a whole is going to do things like reducing development costs and kind of cutting corners. Whether that's overall a good thing or maybe more of a bad thing is really up to you. But easily the big takeaway here, whatever your viewpoint here, is that video games, the way that they are developed, that is all changing forever. For years, video games have just been built from the ground up using human creativity, and there's a lot of human creativity, of course, that still goes into it. But now just the fact of the matter is that AI is becoming, somewhat of a part of that process. And 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe it was just a small fraction of game devs that were using AI, but now, at least in terms of online Japanese video games, it is apparently 100% of them that are using AI. In some way, some shape, or form, it is being used.